Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we are going to be discussing who was the best droid of the past 5 years. The criteria for this droid list was live action only, with a bit of an allowance for BD1 since that game was created with the help of motion capture, aka real people. Now, when I announced this video, everyone on Twitter said it has to be Chopper. And to that I say, he just missed the cutoff date, having been introduced in 2014, and only making the tiniest of cameos in Rogue One kinda really did just leave him off the list. I do love Chopper, but since he's not on this list, enjoy this heartfelt song I made instead. Chopper, you're my number one. If this ranking was anything but live action, but now you know I love you so, my Chopper, my astromech tech. Okay, so over the past 5 years, we were introduced to 6 brand new droids which were a much welcomed addition to the Star Wars universe. And the droids I'm specifically talking about were BD1, DO, IG-11, L337, BB-8, and K2SO. But not all droids are created equal, and one of those droids truly stood out to me as one of the best new droids out of the entire bunch. So today, I will be ranking each of the droids above with a mini discussion regarding why I place them where they are. And of course, all of this is subjective. Starting with number 6, Dio. Dio is in this place because I feel like his design was the best aspect of his droidness. His design was based off old Force Awakens concept art for BB-8, which would have had him with a single axle for getting around. He also just doesn't do much of anything that's particularly memorable as far as the plot goes. Dio is the one who explains to Finn what Palpy wanted with Rey, however, that's just off screen. Mostly, Dio says hello, or I am Dio, or no thank you, gets oiled, talks to horses, he asks questions so that the main characters can get some exposition in, etc. and so on. So he looks cool, but he just kinda added nothing for me. Number 5, L337. Now first, I want to say that the design for L337 is exceptional. It's one of the best examples I've seen so far of combining practical elements with mocap performance and CGI. L337 looked very much so like your classic 1970s style Star Wars droid, but as a sidekick, while feisty and mildly humorous, I didn't find L3's inclusion in Solo to have enough weight to it, beyond the obvious homage to the Falcon's peculiar dialect. While it was cool that we find out that the peculiar dialect is because L3 got to merge with the Falcon living on forever and ever, it's also kinda creepy that they all trapped her in there forever and ever, you know? I do think that one of the coolest parts about L3 was the fact that she basically assembled herself, but as I said, it seems like a lot of information about that was just left to the visual dictionary and other ancillary material. And you might disagree, but Lando and L337's connection didn't really feel all that strong or real to me. And if you know me, I love Solo: A Star Wars Story, so I don't have a beef with the movie or anything. I just feel like, as far as a droid goes, L337's character was just okay. Number 4. Some people might say that this is blasphemy, but BB-8 takes this position. Now, I think BB-8 was one of the coolest additions to Star Wars, and as a sidekick droid and astromech, he almost has it all. He's a pain in the ass, he won't hesitate to tase you, he's a super friend, he gets into mischief, and he has all the good stuff going on, right? With that said, his design is extremely derivative of R2. And while that's not necessarily an issue, I would have enjoyed something a bit more idiosyncratic. However, I love that BB-8's body is just a round ball that rolls while its head is magnetically connected to the body. And I suppose it does make logical sense that new phases of astromech would remain mostly similar to their earlier counterparts, at least aesthetically, since they would all be performing the same functions. But regardless, BB-8 is a pretty sweet droid and a fine collectible. Number 3, it's BD1 from Fallen Order. Originally, I wasn't going to include anything other than true live action on this list, but Fallen Order is essentially a long movie and there's a lot of motion capture involved. And I really like the design of BD1, as well as his sidekick status. He's so tiny and endearing, and I just really love the droid speak that BD1 has. He's like this tiny pet that's ridiculously cute, bordering on Baby Yoda cuteness. And beyond the superficial, I really fell in love with BD1 and Cal's bond. I think the two's connection and working together, slicing through doors, etc. throughout the game was fantastic. And as far as droids go, as I said, BD1 has a great design. He's like a mini chicken walker with a squished head, while also kind of similar to Johnny 5 from Short Circuit. Even though BD1 didn't seem to get into trouble and mischief like all the other droids on this list, except for Dio, it's really his bond and endearing quality as a droid that places him above all the others. number 2. And this was super hard, but it's K2SO. K2SO is without a doubt one of the best designed droids for the new era of Star Wars films, and I thought K2's dry humor was hilarious throughout Rogue One, arguably the best aspect of the movie beyond Vader's slaughtering of rebels. I also like that K2 was a reprogrammed Imperial security droid once part of the Galactic Empire's armed forces. That's just neat to know. And the big bulky design of K2 is imposing as well, but the droid's immense strength combined with his personality, I think makes K2 brilliant. He's the muscle, the pilot, the Joker, and eventually a sacrificial savior. Most of these other droids on this list get to go on and live and be part of Star Wars forever, but K2 unfortunately died protecting Cassian and Jyn, allowing them to steal and transmit the Death Star plans. And if K2 never did that, no original trilogy. What a hero. Overall, K2 did a great job of not being a carbon copy of C-3PO personality-wise. And when I saw the initial trailers for Rogue One, I was like, I think that's what they're gonna do. But thankfully, I was wrong. C-3PO is driven by a sort of mindless anxiety, while K2 is sort of just like, what's going on, guys? He's the relaxed, ball-busting version of C-3PO, if you will. And I do think it's possible to make the case that K2 is the best droid out of all of these ones in this list, which is why, as I said, it was hard to rank him as number 2. Which brings us to number 1, IG-11. Now, some people are going to say, hey, he's not even a new droid. He's just a literal carbon copy of IG-88. Well, kinda, but the reason IG-11 wins this entire ranking is because of a few things. First, we have never been able to see how an IG unit articulates all of its limbs in live action, and the way IG-11 moves himself as he enters into a shootout is unbelievable. Every part of his body is on some kind of axis and gimbal that can turn any which way, making him almost this unstoppable force. So yeah, amazing looking moving droid. Beyond the outstanding movement, IG-11's personality is absolutely hilarious. He's so formal to a fault, and that's why it's funny, even when he's talking about his programming. And what's even cooler is this is arguably the first droid we have seen in a live action Star Wars anything that has a redemption story. I can't think of one unless it's from an animated show, but we're talking about live action. IG-11 went from program killer to nurse droid, finally culminating in yet another sacrifice so that other people can live. And in this case, Din Djarin, the Child, Greef Karga, and Cara Dune. And I thought it was an amazing moment for IG-11 to step into the lava river, finally detonating himself, paying off a joke from episode 1. A comedic moment became a heroic act, and the droid who raised a gun to kill the Child in the first episode died saving it in the final. Perfect. Now, part of why I also love IG-11 has to do with the fact of that little sequence of Kuiil reprogramming him, and that sequence is incredible. Watching IG-11 relearn how to do everything was very interesting and very endearing and made me sympathize with him as a droid. But regardless, IG-11 is like the most incredible droid character to have come out of Star Wars in the past 5 years because of those things. From movement, practical puppetry, personality, and the fact that he saves everybody in the end, he has everything you could want. And it's too bad that just like K2SO, we had a limited time with IG-11. I would have loved to see more of him in the upcoming season, but also I love his redemption story. So that does it for today's video. Tell me down below how you would rank each of these droids, and feel free to add any droid that you want. And if you also enjoyed today's video, I encourage you to like, subscribe, and share the video around. May the Force be with you. AT-AT is signing off.